Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and significant news as Erik ten Hag suspends Cristiano Ronaldo from first team action for the Chelsea game as well as first team training for the next 3 or 4 days. So major news there coming out. Also developing news tonight as well, or this afternoon, that actually the story behind Cristiano Ronaldo last night was a little bit different to how we thought it was. Yes, he did walk off. You didn't see, your eyes weren't deceiving you, but apparently he refused to come on before he stormed off as well. So that's something we need to discuss as well. Stone of Folly's our first super chat and says, neither Ten Hag or Ronaldo is the villain of the piece. Ten Hag wants what's best for the team in the future and Ronaldo wants game time. Board is impeding the process. Well, interesting thing from David Ornstein, and a few other people have said this as well, that if Manchester United did move Cristiano Ronaldo on now, the money they would save between now and January and May would be more than enough to buy a player and pay their wages. So, look, Jordan says finally he mentions it. Mate, I've been live twice today and I've not been live since that news broke. So I'm getting a little bit bored of the silly agenda that's being put forward. You know, I don't really get it. We're trying to run a show here, mate, and you're just acting like a fool. Good. No one disrespects my club. Unprofessional, says Rob. To be honest, I'd have thrown Garnacho on for the last 10 before Ronaldo, who wasn't even needed in that game. I think I just would come back on that though. The only thing I would say on that, and I disagree with it, is when people say no one's bigger than the club, kick him out. Where were you in June and why didn't the club do it in June? Like, everyone seems to be championing the decision to potentially kick him out the club now, and yet I was wrong last night to say that the Glazers could have solved this in the summer. I don't blame Ten Hag. I think he's 100% right. I do blame Ronaldo. I think he's 100% wrong. But I also still stand by what I said last night. And it amazes me that people are defending the Glazers when I'm saying I blame the Glazers. I blame the Glazers for the shit show the football club is. I blame the Glazers for the fact that we're going to wait 2 years for a stadium. I blame the Glazers for the fact that John Murtagh even now is saying we're not going to buy anyone in January. And I blame the Glazers because actually I think all of you are right. Nobody's bigger than this football club. And Cristiano Ronaldo basically said in June he wanted to go because he didn't want to be here. Is that not stating that you're bigger than the football club? How could they not see this coming? So I do blame them. I think there's levels of blame. I don't blame Ten Hag at all. No blame on Ten Hag as far as I'm concerned. I know some people do blame him a bit. I don't blame Ten Hag at all. I blame Ronaldo a lot, but I blame the Glazers more than anybody because I think they just are what's wrong with this football club. But look, I don't want to skirt around the issues. I think we've got quite a lot to get involved in. Under Sir Alex, Ronaldo was subbed off in a game and walked straight to the tunnel and he left for Real Madrid not long after that, says Brian. No man's bigger than the club. He wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for Man United signing him back in the day, says Nathan Allen. Well, he would. I'm sorry, Nathan, I don't agree with you on that. So no one was going to sign Cristiano Ronaldo from Sporting Lisbon. Okay. Is it the last we saw of Ronaldo in Manchester United, Tobias? I don't necessarily think it is. We can talk about that in a bit. The Ronaldo chat is becoming boring. What he did was wrong, but as a club we move forward, says Rob. And I totally agree with you on that, Rob. I mean, look, I've got to talk about it because people are constantly bloody tweeting me about it and don't seem to watch the videos I've done today. So I'll have to open up about it. And also, I think it's a major statement from Ten Hag to suspend a player publicly. We would normally, and in the past, we would say a player's got a knock or something like that. But this has 100% been put out there publicly that it is a suspension. And it's the right thing to do. I mean, I don't know whether anybody... I don't know whether anyone can see... I mean, I wonder what Speed thinks about... Speed's not calling me because he hasn't got my number, so he's not calling me. Mark, surely if Ronaldo goes, we have to go all in for Tony. Best all round there. Heading, pinning centre-halves links up and play finishing, says Barney. And major concern for January is if we move Ronaldo off and the Glazers won't do any business. I want to talk about that, Mike. Warrior, I'm not singing songs. So look, at the end of the day, I said this on the preview this afternoon. If you watch the preview, check it out. I said it right at the start, and this was before this had come out, and I think it was inevitable it was going to come out. I said it, and I think a lot of people agreed, that Ronaldo could not travel for the Chelsea game on Saturday. And it was a big decision for the club to make because Martial may or may not be fit, but it leaves us short in an area where we're already short. But 100% he couldn't be part of the team, and I think 100% the stance is correct, the suspension is correct, and Eric Ten Hag is correct. And I think it was Laurie Whitwell who said that this is Eric Ten Hag's decision, and the club have backed him up on it. So therefore, I think Eric Ten Hag has to be applauded on this. He's made the right decision, the only decision, and he has to be suspended for the game. And if we lose the game, then, you know, partly that's Ronaldo's fault, isn't it? Because he should be part of the team for this game, but quite rightly, he's not part of the team for this game. So there has to be a punishment, I agree. He's not training with the first team, which I think is a good move when he's not going to be playing on Saturday anyway. We'll see what happens next week. So I think that 100% that's the right decision, and I can't understand why anybody wouldn't think that's the right decision, because at the end of the day, a player has stormed off while the game's still going on and gone home. If you don't punish them, you know, it's about, you know what it's about? It's about standards. And if Ronaldo does that, then somebody else will push the boat out and do something else. So Ten Hag's got to do that. 100% the right thing to do. Don't think anybody's got any shock or surprise with that decision. So, yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. Mark, surely if Ronaldo goes, we have to go all in for Tony. Best all-round out there, says Barney. Phelan, welcome to the Members Club. And Bama's just gifted 20 memberships as well. So big shout out to Bama in the chat. There's a lot in tonight, so make sure you give him a shout out. It's only saddening to see the club and its legend face off this way. Ronaldo deserved a proper farewell and closure, says Neil. And when will you have Castro on the show, says the league. Castro can come anytime he wants. I love Castro, so he can come on anytime he wants. There's an interesting point to be said there that, you know, it's not... Look, let me talk about the bad things first, and then I'll talk about something that I agree with. That I almost feel that there was actually, when you look at it, there's three things for me. Ronaldo's totally to blame on this, 100%. I agree. Okay, but what I also wanted to say as well is that if Speed's calling me on Discord, if he gives me 10 minutes, I'll get him on. But I've got to get through this first, and I will get him on. So at the end of the day, because I know how to get him on Discord. So at the end of the day, my issue here is that there's three things here. Ronaldo's totally to blame for what's happened. Everybody knows that. I think the club could have prevented it and should have prevented it. But when you go back to last August, when Solskjaer bought him, I mean, basically his legacy was going to get fucked up anyway, wasn't it? If he'd gone to Man City, I did a video saying, you know, I'm disgusted about it. So if he'd gone to Man City, we'd have been disgusted. And he came back to United and it's ended badly anyway. So really, Ronaldo should have just avoided the Premier League. But obviously that didn't happen. I also think that George Mendes is a super agent. But I also think he's made a massive mistake, because why was there not a Champions League clause in that contract? United were on their hands and knees begging Ronaldo to come in that 48 hours to stop him going to Man City. I'm absolutely stunned that George Mendes did not put a Champions League clause in that contract. And that would have solved a lot of problems as well. So I just think it's all very preventable. But look, let's deal with the now. Ten Hag has made the right decision. The only decision was to suspend him. Is it not hypocritical we celebrated Anthony striking at Ajax but crucify Ronaldo when he does it to us, says Ubdav. We're all hypocrites, mate. It's just whether we want to accept it or not. I don't think it's wrong to say that what Ronaldo's done is wrong, and Ajax said Anthony was wrong to do what he did. The difference is we benefited from the Anthony situation and we're not benefiting from this. So in a way, there's hypocrisy there, but I don't think you can say to United fans, well, Anthony went on strike, so we should just accept Ronaldo doing that. I honestly agree that if it needed to be done, also Speed is trying to get hold of you, says Kroll. We'll get him on in a minute if he wants to. And do you think it's got a good deal with another club and trying to force his way out in January, says Salim. Welcome to the Members Club, Gerhard. And Antonio says, hi Mark, are you aware that Ronaldo met Jordan Peterson, a psychologist, following the tragic circumstances of his child? Ronaldo may still be struggling and he may require further help and support, says Antonio. Manchester United's not really the football club for that sort of support. We're shit at it, to be honest. I think it's well established on that. And we can't talk on private matters because we don't know. We can only deal with what we see publicly, and that's what we're dealing with. The second thing I need to talk about is his refusal to come on the pitch. And that sounds a bit odd, but basically there was a story that came out in the UK press tonight that the truth of what happened last night, apparently, is that Ten Hag asked Ronaldo to come on 5 or 10 minutes before the end of the game when Alanga came on. Ronaldo refused and then walked down the touchline. Is that worse? Yes. Does it make it any better? No. I mean, at the end of the day, if he refused to come on and then walk down the tunnel, that's worse than just walking down the tunnel. But it doesn't make... I mean, it's not like Ten Hag would... It's not like Ten Hag... So look, if the situation is this, Ten Hag said to Ronaldo with 5 minutes left, I want you to come on, and he said no and walked off. The other scenario, which is not true, is that Ten Hag didn't want Ronaldo to come on and he got pissed off and walked down the tunnel. That's a slightly better situation than refusing to come on, but walking down that tunnel, you're suspended anyway. So yeah, what he did was worse, but walking off down the tunnel and going home is suspension anyway. So we're splitting hairs on, yeah, of course it's worse to refuse to go on, but he walked down the tunnel anyway, so that would have led to a suspension. As for what I think about him refusing to go on, you know what? I can only repeat what I said this morning. This was happening behind the scenes this week. This was going to happen in the dressing room after the game. This fallout was going to happen and had already happened. So, yes, it's totally unacceptable. We've just seen it publicly. It was going to happen. There is definitely a breakdown in communication, as everybody's acknowledged. And the winner has to be the manager of Manchester United. And I know there are a few people out there really, really pissed off. And I think a lot of that pissed off is because they're hurt. You know, Ronaldo is the only legend in that. Ronaldo is the biggest legend in the current squad. He is the only player in that squad that actually has won anything of note. De Gea has won a Premier League, but Ronaldo is he's a legend. And that makes it a weird situation for some people. But even people like me who find it weird, I mean, I don't know what people expect. You know, I've seen people say, close the door on your way out and get out of my club. And I'm like, how old are you? I mean, have you actually supported this club when Ronaldo played here the first time? It's very difficult for people of my age who lived that. Moscow, the Premier Leagues, the development, the Ballon d'Or. Those times were fantastic. Rooney and Ronaldo and, you know, Vidic and all that. It was a fantastic time. So it's very difficult because I'm not the sort of person that turns my back on things that I respect. So I have to 100% agree with people that what he's done is unacceptable and we need to resolve it. And resolving it means he needs to leave. But I will not start going, get out of my club, you scum, this, that and the other. And some of the stuff I've seen, because that to me is just not who I want to be. I don't want to be that, because Manchester United to me has given me so many fantastic memories previous to the last 10 years, of course. And a lot of those players, look, there's some of those players, and I'm not bringing names in, there's some of those players that have done quite bad things, and yet they're still legends to me because they were legends at a time when I loved what Manchester United were doing on the pitch. So, and you know who I'm talking about, and I'm not going to start mentioning names or specific names. And some of those players that are legends are complete knobheads off the pitch as well, but they're still legends to me. That's my upbringing. Those teams brought me so much joy. So I'm not going to just... Some people say that Ronaldo has tarnished his legacy. Well, that's up to you. It's an individual choice, not for me. He's not tarnished his legacy at all. He's a legend of Manchester United. And I want to try and preserve that. And I think it can still be preserved. And that's why I'm very frustrated with the club, because Ten Hag is 100% correct and Ronaldo is 100% wrong. But the club could have dealt with this a lot better. And it's not the first time the club have got things wrong. And I think they need to deal with these things better. But we're never going to until we remove the Glazers, because we're not really Manchester United. We're a brand. But I don't want to distract from the fact that Ronaldo is wrong and what he did yesterday was disgusting. And it's 100% right that he's been suspended. And you cannot refuse a manager to go on the pitch, and you can't be storming down the tunnel. 100% wrong. I've said that all along. But I'm not going to start throwing him under a bus or anything like that more than what he's done is wrong, because I'm sorry, I'm not rewriting my history as a football fan and as a Manchester United fan. And Moscow is one of the greatest nights of my Manchester United fan career. It's not up there with 99, but it was fantastic. Ronaldo for a couple of seasons was unbelievable on the wing, scoring fucking loads of goals. I was absolutely gutted when he left us, and I still loved him after he'd gone, even though he left us in quite bad circumstances. I'm not going to, maybe the guy's a complete knobhead in real life. I don't know. Maybe his ego's out of control. I don't know. But as a footballer for Manchester United, he remains a legend for me. And, Is this team going to win the Champions League? Is it going to win the Premier League? Probably not. So he's still a player that's going to win a hell of a lot more than a lot of these players are going to do. But we're living in the now. We're not living in the past. And I think that's why the club need to resolve this ASAP. And I really do wish for Ten Hag and for the fans that the club had just solved this in the summer. But I'm not going to keep going on about it. But it should have been solved in the summer because it was inevitable this was going to happen. And I think Ten Hag's dealt with it 100% correctly. And I think Ronaldo's been backed into a corner and behaved poorly. But it needs to get resolved, and it needs to get really resolved quickly. Isn't it obvious that no one wanted Ronaldo in the summer, says Arib? He is Ronaldo. He could have moved if he wanted to. I think that's a very boring story that just keeps getting regurgitated from speculative people who've got no idea. The cold, harsh fact is that Manchester United wanted money for Ronaldo and nobody was willing to pay money. There was interest in taking Ronaldo, but it was people wanted to take him for free. So, ultimately United didn't want him to go for free. They wanted a transfer fee for him, and nobody was willing to pay a transfer fee. So, United are ultimately going to lose him for free anyway now. So, they should have seen it coming, in my opinion. Corey, welcome to the Members Club for 11 months. Ronaldo and the team of 5209 really made my childhood. This situation really causes a dilemma, says Nihal. I don't think it causes a dilemma. I just think there's people of a certain age, like us, who remember what Ronaldo is to the club and won't forget those times and are not going to forget those times or throw him under the bus and hate on him because of what he's done in the last 24 hours or the last 3 months. It's not great behaviour. It really isn't. It's disgusting. But it's not going to tarnish his legacy as far as I'm concerned because that's boxed off. That's secure. They were great times and I'm not going to have those times ruined by anything that happens now. I just want the club to deal with it swiftly. I think what happens next is really interesting. I don't care if the club... I mean, personally, I'd like the club to just say to Ronaldo, if we stop paying you now, will you go? I think he'd go. I don't care if we do that. I mean, Laurie Whitwell was saying, and the future is interesting. Laurie Whitwell was saying that Ten Hag still wants Ronaldo as part of his squad, but he wants Ronaldo to accept his role within the team. So I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen. Do you? Ten Hag is happy for Ronaldo to stay if he's happy to sit on the bench and be his third choice striker, because that's what he is. He's playing Marcus Rashford up front or Martial when they're fit ahead of Ronaldo, so he's third choice striker. I don't think Ronaldo wants to do that. I don't think he probably should do that. I think he should say to Ten Hag, I want to leave, which is absolutely fine if a player wants to leave, isn't it? Pep Guardiola, if he has a player that wants to leave, he lets them go. I think Ten Hag wants Ronaldo to go, but the club won't let it happen, and the club are the only ones who can solve this. Ten Hag has every right to bench a player, bring them on or off when they want to. He's got every right to suspend a player, and I'm, he's 100% correct. And Ronaldo's got every right to say, I don't want to play here, I want to go. But ultimately, the club has to solve this issue, and they can't bury their head on this one. They can't bury their head in the sand on this one. They've got to come up with a solution, because the unfortunate thing for all of us is that Ronaldo is still massive, and he's still going to get a lot of publicity, and we can't have it every week. Stan, Beckham and Keane are still legends at this club. We can bin that narrative, says Duma. Exactly. You can't see the wood through the trees on Ronaldo, Mark. He cares about one thing only, and that's his trophy cabinet, says Danny. Danny, look, I'm not going to get involved in these arguments because I don't disagree with anybody. I mean, we're on the same page. His behaviour in the last 24 hours is appalling. What you want me to do is sit here and say, get out of my club, you're a scumbag, you're an absolute disgrace. I'm never going to do it. Because I tell you what, I walk my own shoes, I breathe my own air, and my heart is my own heart. And for me, I'm not going to turn my back, and you or nobody else is going to tell me to turn my back on those years that somebody mentioned there between 05 and 09 when he left. That they were some of the greatest years I've had as a Manchester United fan. I'm not losing them because we're battling for 4th place and we're starting a new revolution. The Glazers are still fucking in charge. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. I'll tell you what I was told this afternoon is that the club are very concerned still about the truth. Now, people would say, well, what's the truth? And I actually said, what do you mean the truth? And what I was told is that, remember a few weeks before the end of the transfer window, Ronaldo put it out publicly that the truth was going to come out on the day of the transfer window closed. Now, this is all speculation here. But apparently, and he did put the message out there, so you could interpret it like this, Ronaldo was expecting to move, and when he'd moved, he was going to do a video on all the issues at Man United. And nobody knows what the truth was, but reading between the lines, a lot of people felt that that truth was going to really, really throw the Glazers under the bus. So that truth is something that still really worries Manchester United, apparently. I don't know. I don't really care, because that sort of distracts us from where we are. I think the most important thing here is that already you can see fans almost falling out with themselves, and I don't really get it, because I've not heard one fan say what Ronaldo did last night was acceptable. So why are people falling out with each other? I've not heard one fan say Ten Hag isn't 100% right to suspend and do what he does. He's in charge. The manager must be allowed to manage. So I'm a little bit confused as to why there is all this tension in the fan base when everybody actually agrees on the two things, that Ronaldo was wrong to do what he did and Ten Hag is the manager and is right to do what he did. I think maybe where people are falling out a little bit is that some people almost want fans of my age group and older to go, Ronaldo's scum, get him out of my club. Not going to happen. I want him to leave. He wants to leave. Ten Hag wants him to leave. I want him to leave. But I'm not going to call him scum, because I'm not going to stab a legend in the back. Maybe he stabbed us in the back, 100%. Maybe he has stabbed us in the back. Maybe he doesn't care about United fans. Maybe he has stabbed us in the back. I tell you what, you might be right, you might be wrong. I don't know. Two wrongs don't make a right. I don't have to hate or do that to somebody. That's not how I live my life. And I think many Man United fans are the same. The memories we've had, this is why a lot of us, it was never personal with Solskjaer. He was a dreadful coach and he needed to be sacked, but it was never going to taint his legacy of what Solskjaer did for us in '99. So, United fans know who they're... Sir Alex Ferguson doesn't like Roy Keane. They fell out. Roy Keane doesn't really have much attachment to Manchester United. Still probably the biggest legend of my lifetime, Roy Keane. It's a personal thing. And these people, these players... some people didn't like Rooney after what he said. Some people think Rooney's absolutely amazing. Rooney's still a legend to me. So it's not going to change my opinion on that. But I some people just want the world. Like they want the world to burn, and I don't really understand what more there is to say. The behaviour of Ronaldo last night was appalling. The behaviour of Ten Hag was spot on. The reaction to it today, suspending him, is spot on. I now look to the club to resolve this issue ASAP, so that we can draw a line under the Ronaldo situation and remember him for the good times and not this, and move on with Ten Hag into the future. My fear is that we won't do that, because I don't think United over the last 10 years are littered with efficient, good decision making. What I would like to see now is a very, very, very quick line drawn under this. Now, I don't mind if it's, termination of contract, Ronaldo goes, preps for the World Cup and finds a club for January. I don't mind if it's Ronaldo comes back, trains hard, has a little bit of a role until January and goes. But what I absolutely do not want to see is we've all made friends now and we're all going to try again, because it won't work. It's incompatible, and the trust has gone between Ten Hag and Ronaldo. And they can shake hands and say make friends, never, never break friends, but the trust is gone. So the club need to be strong on this. But as we know, there's this truth interview that Ronaldo wants to do, or wanted to do. There's the contract situation, and United need to act efficiently. But the problem is, do you think we've got those people within the club to do that? I don't know. Ronaldo definitely messed up. Also, did Erik Ten Hag really have to bully him like that? Ronaldo has been needlessly humiliated several times, says SK. I don't really have a problem with the way Ten Hag's behaved. I don't have anything bad to say about Ten Hag on this. So, maybe some people do, maybe some people don't. Of course, a manager will humiliate players. Of course, they will disrespect a player. Of course, they will bench them and this, that and the other. But that's the manager's got to manage. For the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson, we've probably got a manager that's got the power to do what they want to do. That can only be a good thing. You can't moan about it because it happens to a player that you like. One of the things I thought about today, and they're very different stories, is that Harry Maguire and Cristiano Ronaldo last season and we don't know the real truth, but Harry Maguire and Cristiano Ronaldo last season spent most of it falling out, apparently, and they didn't like each other, and there was a power struggle in the dressing room. We're now in the middle of October. Harry Maguire's been out the team for 2 months, and Ronaldo is now suspended. Whether it was by design or luck or whatever, or them both just being unlucky, or they're both creating it, or one of them unlucky or whatever, is it not ironic that the story last year was that Maguire and Ronaldo were battling for the leadership of the dressing room? We're in the middle of October and there's only one leader in that dressing room. It's the person who should be the leader of the dressing room. It's the manager. And neither of those two players are playing. Is that not what we wanted? We wanted a manager to hit that reset button and start to rebuild something in his own vision. So I can't complain about a manager doing what needs to be done. There is a fallout because some say he deserves to play more and others want those who are informed to play ahead of him, says Akshay. But the manager solves that. What club will take him after last night, says Rob. It's not really our concern, Rob. I don't think it really matters who will take him and who won't take him. Does it really matter? The point is, his future can't be at Man United anymore. So Man United need to find a solution to that. A club will take Ronaldo. We will have to take a loss on it. But we can't. We should have done that in the summer. Trust me, there'll be more people. There was more people in August willing to take Ronaldo for free and pay a large proportion of his wages than there will be now, because we're desperate now. We're absolutely desperate now, and you know, Ronaldo will find a club. We've just got to find. We've just got to end this situation. Such a shame that Ronaldo is dominating the headlines after such an impressive win last night. It is, Lars. It is, and. You know, it just is. Mark, in American sports, we have a concept of finding a player. Does that exist in football? Yes, Avedon. He will be fined. And we've not heard about the fine, but I'm sure he will be fined. And he's certainly been suspended. Ari says, Ronnie will expose the clubs the moment he leaves, and United is scared, in my opinion. Look, at the moment, we're dealing with Ronaldo. That's what we're dealing with. And it would be wrong to open up into other things. But if I said to you there were some quite significant updates today about Manchester United Football Club. Now, whether Ronaldo leaves and exposes the Glazers or not, do they need to be exposed? If Ronaldo did an interview and said the club's run terribly, you know, the facilities, the ambition, it's a disgrace, evidence, would you go, oh my God, that's unbelievable? Or would you go, slow sports news, Ronaldo blows the lid on shite United? You know, we already know the club's run like a mess. I mean, was it, I forget the role the lady has, Colette Roach. I think she's like been at the club for years. Like she's like head of press communications or something like that. So apparently she's been quoted about the building of the new stadium. And basically, to summarise, 2 years before we even start doing something, probably, because they're still going through the options of whether they can redevelop Old Trafford, which is very challenging, or whether we end up rebuilding. 2 years before we even start doing something to a stadium that's been rusting for 12. It's a joke. So 2 years before we even start doing anything to Old Trafford. And then it could be 3 or 4 or 5 years after that. So what do you think when you hear about 2 years before we even start doing anything with Old Trafford? I tell you what I think. The thing that I thought was going to get rid of the Glazers is the fact that they know they've got to do something with Old Trafford. But if they're kicking the ball down the road for 2 years before they do something, well, they're kicking the sale down the road for 2 years, which means they're kicking 2 years more of dividends into their pocket. 2 years before we start doing anything. That's just 2 years of milking the cow a little bit more. So, you know, don't lose sight of the fact that the club's a fucking joke and it's run by people who are just a disgrace. But that's not the story at the moment. I accept that. But it benefits the Glazers for the. I mean, look, if I'm being a complete arsehole and being honest, does this Ronaldo story benefit the Glazers? Of course it bloody well does. It takes us away from the protests that have still gone on, and there was still stuff going on yesterday, and the ground was singing about the Glazers yesterday, and hardly anybody reports it. Does it benefit Manchester United that everybody's going in on Ronaldo at the moment? Yeah, 100%. Of course it does, because it takes away from the Glazers. The thing is, we can't call it spin, because Ronaldo's created the problem himself, but it's a good story for the Glazers because it just takes it away. I've had people attacking me over the last 24 hours for me saying I ultimately blame the Glazers for this. I think that the way they've handled it in the summer was a joke. I blame Ronaldo. Obviously, he's the one to blame the most, but I still blame the Glazers for not solving this in the summer and causing this major issue for our new manager who's trying his arse off to try and build something new. But course it benefits the Glazers that everyone's focused on Ronaldo. And they just, if there's somebody else for people to have a pop at whilst the team's doing well, and we're not building a new stadium for 2 years, welcome to the Glazers for at least another 2 years. Mark, don't get me wrong, I agree with you that Ten Hag has the final say. I'm just asking whether it's wise for squad harmony to needlessly antagonise Ronaldo, says SK. I don't know the squad dynamics. I think the players will be very, very pleased with what's going on, with the way that they performed on Wednesday and the praise that they're getting. And all footballers are egotistical. And all those footballers will be going, look at my player ratings. Look, everyone's saying I'm playing well. Oh, this is great. Oh, Ronaldo's doing that. Good. Let all the shit go to Ronaldo. We're getting all the praise. So I don't think squad harmony will be a problem. I really don't. They're getting a lot of deserved praise at the moment. Ronaldo's getting a lot of deserved criticism. I don't think the players will give two shits about squad harmony, to be honest with you. I think squad harmony is probably better than it has been for a while. I find it hypocritical that Ten Hag and our fans were okay with Anthony being on strike with Ajax and starting in first game he came to United. I don't condone Ronaldo, but he hasn't been treated fairly, says Kyle. Ultimately, the Glazers are the biggest losers in this situation, creating an environment so toxic their greatest player wants to walk off, says Stephen. An Eredivisie manager cannot come into a team and disrespect the best player in the world, says Cyan. And the United fans know what's happening. The ones who sing every game his name. This disrespect towards a legend by fraud manager that didn't achieve nothing won't be forgotten. The boat will sink with Ten Hag on charge. Karma's real, says Cold Blood. And Bama says, I just think he wanted to force Glazer's hand to let him go in January. What he did was wrong, and two wrongs don't make it right. Thank you, Bama, who gifted memberships there. I just want to say we had 4 very negative comments about Ten Hag in a row there, and I let them settle purposely because I read them and I knew they were coming. I have to say, in my opinion, and I know obviously the show is about opinion and people won't always agree with me or what anybody else says, but I have to just repeat again, 100% I agree with Erik Ten Hag. 100% he's done everything right, and 100% he's got my backing. I can't guarantee he's going to be a success. I personally don't think any Man United manager can be a success under the Glazers. I think that Erik Ten Hag's ceiling is top 4 whilst the Glazers are there. I really don't think we'll win anything major. We might win an FA Cup or a Europa League, but I think top 4 in the Europa League is our zenith. I don't think we can win the Champions League, and I don't think we can win the Premier League with the Glazers in charge anymore. So, but 100% don't blame Erik Ten Hag for anything on this. People will say, well, how can't you blame him because he doesn't pick Ronaldo? But was he wrong not to pick Ronaldo last night? I would have started Ronaldo against Spurs, but I was completely wrong, and Ten Hag was completely right. Was Ten Hag at fault for asking him to come on for 5 minutes and Ronaldo storming down the touchline? No. So, look, I know it's a very emotional thing, but I don't think Ten Hag should be brought into this or blamed or anything like that. I think if you're looking for people to blame, you've got to ask why Ronaldo's done that. And if you ask why Ronaldo's done that and you find reasons for that, then the only logical way back is, well, we should have let him go in the summer. Well, that's not Ten Hag. Ten Hag wanted to keep Ronaldo through May, June and July. And in August, he was like, look, if there's an offer that comes in that's acceptable, let him go and get me a replacement. And that Ten Hag basically changed in August. There was a month of the window left. Ronaldo never changed his mind. He wanted to go. So if you've got all of August with Ten Hag saying Ronaldo can go, and you've got all of June, July and August of Ronaldo asking to go, why didn't he go? Murta, Arnold, the Glazers, take your pick. Was it all 3? I don't know. But the club could have solved this. So I don't blame Ten Hag, because people say, why has Ten Hag kept Ronaldo and then he doesn't use him? But Ten Hag wasn't really the one who kept Ronaldo. United didn't let Ronaldo go and didn't give Ten Hag a replacement. And the funny thing is, and I think this is really important, who do you believe, Mark? Fabrizio or Keane's facts as grand? I don't know what you're talking about. You'd have to give me more clarity there. The big thing for me is that what should have happened in the summer is Ronaldo should have been allowed to go for free, because that was the only way we were going to let him go. But when Ronaldo goes for free, you also save 2 million a month in wages. So Ronaldo should have been allowed to go for free, and we should have bought Gakpo. And then everybody gets what they want. And that's what should have happened in August, in my opinion. This would have been helped massively if we'd had decent negotiators who didn't spend 100 million euros on Antony instead of 60 million. And then we'd have had another 40 million to spend on Gakpo as well. So there was big mistakes within the club in how they handled it. The funny thing is, in January, we're going to lose Ronaldo for nothing, and we're going to have to buy Gakpo for probably more than we would have paid in August. So we could have done what we're going to do in January cheaper and saved a lot more hassle for everybody by doing it in January. But this happens a lot with United. We've seen this before. Sancho, Bruno, Lindelof, deals we should have done in the previous transfer window, we end up doing in the transfer window after, because we just don't have the right sort of people within the club. Nick PC says Nick P says, he's not a PC, I don't think. Nick P says, we were great last night against Spurs. Sorry to go back to football. What a performance. We were, and I'm so looking forward to Saturday. And I think, you know what, I really hope tomorrow morning we wake up and there's no more developments around Ronaldo. But I absolutely know that's not going to happen, because we've got a press conference tomorrow lunchtime where he will be asked about Ronaldo. There will be more leaks tomorrow from both sides about Ronaldo. Tomorrow night's Q&A will be about Ronaldo. It's not going to stop. And it's not going to stop because nobody can stop feeding the fire. The press won't stop it because look at Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail. He had the exclusive. He didn't just walk down the tunnel, he refused to come on. More fire on the flames. More petrol on the flames. It's not going to stop. And I wish it would, because Ronaldo's not playing on Saturday. So really, it should just stop until next week so we can focus on a massive game. But it won't stop. And then if we don't beat Chelsea and we lose, it'll be, well, if Ronaldo had played. You know, it's not going to stop. And this is why I said it this morning, and I'll say it again. If I was CEO and you were CEO, I'd be on the phone to the Glazers constantly saying, you've got to let me solve this. Eric wants to build the team. Cristiano wants to go. And we need to move fast. I would even say let's suspend his contract. Let's terminate his contract. Let him be free now. Let him go. And then we can move on and he can move on. Let's do it now. But we won't do that because there's money involved. You know, and people say, well, United shouldn't terminate his contract because he's a valuable player under a contract. Hold on a minute. We've spent £30 million on dividends this year. And now people are going, well, don't let him go for nothing. We can't let him go for nothing. We need at least 15 million quid for him. Hold on. 30 million quid has gone out the club this year in dividends. If we can let 30 million quid go out the door to the Glazers, we can terminate Ronaldo's contract and let him go. So we need to resolve this quickly because it ain't going to stop. The fire's not going to stop until we resolve it. And Ronaldo can do what he's going to do and Ten Hag can do what he's going to do. And we can do what we're going to do. But the only people who can solve this efficiently and quickly is the club. And they need to act quickly. And no solution's a nice solution. But you've got, you know, you should have done it in the summer. You've got to do it now. Ashish, welcome to the members club. Mark, you mentioned the owners being business people. What non-business person or consortium can afford the first or second highest valued brand on the planet? Is your call to action realistic, says Mike B. I hope so. And Ronaldo and Ten Hag are both in a very difficult situation, which was created by the Glazers, and both are reacting to it, says Drub. I think that's probably the most concise, succinct and spot-on analysis of the problem. Ronaldo's got to look out for himself. He's not playing football and he's desperate. Ten Hag's got to look out for himself. He's in the biggest job of his career and he's got to be successful. And neither of them are actually really in control. Because unless the Glazers say Ronaldo can go, Ten Hag's going to have this Ronaldo issue, whether it's in the reserves or not. And Ronaldo's going to have this not playing issue with Ten Hag, whether he apologises or not. So the only people who can solve this now are the Glazers. Funny that for the English press, Ronaldo is a bigger story than the Prime Minister, says Thomas. Don't blame Murta for not letting Ronaldo go in June. He was too busy chasing windmills in Barcelona. Stephen. Yes, there was a power struggle, says SK, but Eric Ten Hag had already won. Ronaldo had clearly accepted his role on the bench. Wasn't that enough? Why humiliate him further, says SK. But does Ten Hag not have to win this power struggle? I'm a little confused as to where we are now. We're sort of going round in circles. I know of no United fan who isn't unhappy with how Ronaldo reacted. I know of no United fan that's not 100% with the manager on this. The manager has to win. Mourinho needed to win 3 years ago and the club went with the players. Or 4 years ago now, probably. Whether you like the manager or not, at any football club, the manager has to win. Because if the manager doesn't win, why are they there? And United, for the last 10 years, have had this situation. I mean, I remember speaking to Ince last year, and I said to him, and the video's there, I said, look, you've got yourself, Roy Keane, Mark Hughes, Eric Cantona, Peter Schmeichel, Steve Bruce, all captains, all leaders, right? If anything went wrong, would you ever go behind Sir Alex's back to the chief executive or the director of football equivalent or anything like that? And Ince said, absolutely not. And if you even tried to do it, you'd be out. Gary Neville said it, didn't he? He said that, I can't remember who Gary Neville was talking about. I can't remember who he was talking about. Someone in the chat will know. And he basically said there was a few issues, and they went into the dressing room. They went into Sir Alex's office and told him, and basically had it out with him. And obviously they got a bollock, and it might have been Rooney. And Gary Neville said, yeah, you just don't do that. You've got to have balls to do that, because you just don't do that. Over the last 10 years, I know for a fact, and you know for a fact, we've had players in that dressing room who go behind the back of the manager, get the ear of Woodward, and get listened to. The manager must be allowed to manage, and that's not happening anymore. Ten Hag has now got the authority, and hallelujah to that, because we need that. He might fail, but you know, you've got to give the manager the authority. Danny says that Ronaldo leaving in January means a replacement would be a strong consideration, and that's from David Ornstein, which we've already discussed. Of course it is. I mean, look, let's take it away from this for a moment. Ronaldo needs to go in January. We need to buy a player in January. Now, this is where you come back to the Glazers again. If this club is genuinely backing the manager, we need to buy a striker in January. Now, that might be a real positive, because we knew we were going to need a striker when Ronaldo goes in the summer anyway. So we're going to do it. We've got to do it. There's no if, buts or maybe. I mean, even the press was saying today that Murta is saying we're not buying in January. Well, we fucking are, John. We bloody well are. If Ronaldo goes in January, and he has to go, you cannot carry on the season with Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. Martial can't stay fit, and Rashford, I'm not convinced is a striker anyway. So we've got to buy a striker in January. Whether the club like it or not, tough shit. And if they don't, well, we're back where we are anyway, the Glazers. It's disgusting for the player of this calibre to do this. By walking out, you are saying, I do not care whether we win or not. It's important for me to score and play. It's disrespectful, says Chait. Ashish, welcome to the Members Club. Mark, you mentioned the owners being business people. What? Oh, I've done that one, of course, Mike B. Thank you very much there. Appreciate that. There was something else I wanted to talk about. It's gone from my head. Player power is over. Too big for a club. Yeah, we've done that one. We spoke about that. There was something in my head. Oh, I can't remember what it was. I mentioned the truth video, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what I would say. I'm going to paint a picture here. How do I do it? Okay. So, we're all in agreement that Ronaldo's behaviour last night was appalling. And we're all in agreement that Ten Hag's behaviour is spot on. He must be in charge. So if we now paint a scenario that at some point between now and January, Ronaldo leaves, okay, and gets what he wants. And when that happens, Ronaldo tells the truth and basically says the club's a joke with the Glazers in charge. Ronaldo would go from villain to hero within seconds. You know that's true. And all the heat will be back on the Glazers where it should be. So how do the Glazers prevent that? You know how they prevent that. I know how they prevent that. It's a payoff. So look, I don't know what the reason I tell that story is because it's a story. It's a hypothetical. But people keep saying kick Ronaldo out the club. If they kick Ronaldo out the club, the secrets he can reveal, and they don't even have to be true, I suppose, will absolutely rip through that football club. So when I said this morning that Ten Hag has to be given the power as a football manager, and he has been, don't forget, Ronaldo's still got a lot of power. He's earning good money, and all right, he might be fined and suspended, but he's earning very good money, and he knows a hell of a lot about that football club. And I just think that he wants to play football, and this will be hurting him that he's not playing 100%. But there is still a scenario here where he holds a lot of power over the club because they won't want the big expose coming out. So I'd be very interested to see how this ends, because I really do think I cannot see United just booting him out and letting him expose everything. And I cannot see Man United getting a transfer fee for him. So I really do. I'm really interested to see what happens here. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of subsidised loan. I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. And I certainly don't think George Mendes is going to be there saying, please take him back and let him go. I think they still have quite a big power play over United here. And of course, George Mendes knows how to deal with things better than anybody at that football club. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But the most important thing for me is the now. It's Chelsea on Saturday. It's Ten Hag's rebuild. And the thing that scares me the most, by the way, is I'm not that bothered that Ronaldo's been suspended. It's the right choice. What worries me is Martial's still not fit and will probably get injured again within minutes. And I don't think Rashford's really Mr. Superfit himself. So if we ended up in a situation where, like we were last month, where Martial and Rashford are injured at the same time for 3 weeks, what are we going to do up front? So that's what worries me a little bit, is that this season could get... And I suppose it's the big line. This season could be derailed by all of this. And it was totally preventable in the summer. So let's make an example of the only player which has standards and desire to win. Let's keep Rashford and Maguire, who can do whatever they want, says Paolo. Mark, tired of people thinking Ronaldo has a divine right to play when the manager is trying to create something. I love Ronaldo, but a 37-year-old was never going to be his main man. Tony or Gakpo go straight in, says Barney. Should have happened in the summer, Barney. WCW let the big name wrestlers come in on high wages and let them dictate the shows in their favour, and the company went under. Same here, players can't dictate to this club, says Citizen Z. No surprise if he wasn't in Eric Ten Hag's plans, but the Glazers wanted to keep him for commercial revenue. A bad situation worked. Eric Ten Hag has now sent a message, says Josh. And if I was Ronaldo, I'd never put on a Man United shirt again, says Tom Edwards. Tell us why. He has had rubbish service around him. Top scorer last year. It's a joke how he's been treated this season. No excuse to walk out like he did last night, though, says Tom. At least you've acknowledged that, Tom. And Viralj says, some fans are stupid. What disrespect. What humiliation. Eric Ten Hag played Ronaldo multiple times. How is benching a 37-year-old for one game disrespectful? The walking off was not justified at all. There you go. I've just had a story come through here. Manchester United are considering releasing Ronaldo on a free transfer after he walked out early in Tottenham clash. Club sources tell that United may be willing to cut their losses in January if no suitor can be found by super agent George Mendes. Should have done it in fucking August. Well, you know what? I don't think we're geniuses by any means, but we literally spoke about this a minute ago. It isn't technology great, by the way. The wife just said, can you put the hot water on? And I can do it while I'm streaming. It won't work now. Hot water. On. No. Off. Boost. Hour. Done. Got the power in my hands. That's an interesting update, isn't it? Because we literally just spoke about that about 20 minutes ago. United could have let Ronaldo go for free in August and brought in a replacement, and everybody would have been happy and everything would be settled. We've now gone through all this shit for the last few weeks, and United are now thinking we might let him go for free in January. Okay, now. And buy a replacement. Like, this is exactly what we should have done. Harry Maguire went on holiday, assaulted a police officer, then tried to use the club's name to bribe them, was then charged for assault and bribery, wasn't left out of any squad, says Stewart. But that's complete nonsense, Stewart, isn't it? None of those things are proven. It's like what people say about Mason Greenwood and stuff, which is actually completely different. But what I'm saying is, those things are not proven in a court of law. So, you can't just start chucking Harry Maguire into this or any other player into this. It's not comparable and it's not fair. Of course, Ronaldo's a better player than Harry Maguire, and I've not always been completely enamoured by Harry Maguire as a Manchester United player, but Harry Maguire is a Manchester United player who's not stormed down the touchline and wouldn't storm down the touchline. And that's what we're talking about. We're not comparing other players. Like, Ronaldo's a bigger legend than anyone in that dressing room. And He will always be that to me. And I won't forget the memories, but we can't just start comparing the situation to what other people may or may have not done. They haven't done what Ronaldo did last night. So you can't bring Maguire into this or anybody else. It's not fair to do that. And ultimately, Ten Hag is the manager. And he has his own idea of how players need to conduct themselves. And he doesn't have a problem with Harry Maguire or Scott McTominay or Bruno Fernandes or any other player. He has a problem with Ronaldo. And that's what we're talking about. We needed a striker anyways with Ronaldo in the team. If he leaves, do we need two? Can't depend on Martial. Yeah, some. I mean, for me, the most important thing is that we get this solved as quick as possible and we get a striker in ASAP. It has to happen. You know, a lot of people have said this. We need to move on from this Ronaldo thing, and we do. How long are we going to be going on about this? He stormed off. It wasn't acceptable. What's the solution? I said it this morning. If somebody leaves the tap on upstairs and the bath floods, are you going to keep talking about it for 3 or 4 days? Or are you going to fix your ceiling in your bathroom? We need to fix this leak. We need to fix this problem. And we can keep blaming Ronaldo, or we can look at the Glazers. They're in charge. You've got to fix it. Fix it. Might not be easy to fix, but fix it. And the way to fix it is you've got to get a replacement for Ronaldo. That's the most important thing. And then you've got to let Ronaldo go. You can't let him go and not get a replacement. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to get a replacement in and you've got to let Ronaldo go. Now go and do it. Don't care whether you want to spend any money or not. Do it. Let's not forget, Ten Hag publicly saying that he wanted to keep Ronaldo. Let's not scapegoat the Glazers for Ronaldo's petulance, says Rash. Mate, I don't know who you are and who you think you are. Don't ever come on this show protecting the Glazers. Let's not scapegoat the Glazers. I've never heard such a shit line in all my life. I mean, hold on a minute. They deserve no recourse or let's not scapegoat them. The club is in the mess. It is because of the Glazers. Everything goes back to the Glazers. So, sorry, Rash. No. Let's not scapegoat the Glazers is not a line that's coming out on this show. No. This Ronaldo thing is not the same as the debt, as the years and years of wasted money, of the decay of the stadium. People might want to go on about this Ronaldo thing for a bit longer, but a player storming down the tunnel when we're winning 2-0 anyway does not even come close to the enormous pile of shit that is the Glazers' reign at Manchester United. So look, we can live in this bubble of Ronaldo for a couple of days. I think we're all going to do that. But let's not pretend it's even a little speck on the broader canvas of shit that's been painted by the Glazers at this football club. Let's not scapegoat the Glazers. Oh my God. So we're now going to ignore everything the Glazers have done because somebody stormed down the tunnel. Come on. Let's have a bit of perspective. This club hasn't won a trophy in 5 years. It's not going to win any major trophies for a long time, and it hasn't won any major trophies for a long time because it's been run into the ground. You've poked the fire now. Seriously. Don't scapegoat the Glazers. For God's sake. What are they now? What is it? Everyone likes the Glazers Day because it's all on Ronaldo. God, it really is working. Erik Ten Hag wanted him on the pre-season tour. Simple. This is what has stemmed from no player is bigger than my club. Says D-Train. I'm going to take this as a positive as the club will have no choice now and be forced to get a striker. You know what, Vincent? You're a braver person than me. I actually wrote a tweet about 2 hours ago and saying the one positive is United will have to buy a striker now. And I knew if I tweeted it, I'd get, how can this situation be a positive? And I'd get loads of shit. But I know what you mean. There is a silver lining here. If Ronaldo gets what he wants and Ten Hag gets what he wants, we'll get a player in January, which is what we should have gone in the summer. And I think that benefits everybody. You know what? If I'm honest, I don't like staying angry with anything for long. And if I could click my fingers now, Cristiano Ronaldo is playing in the Champions League, scoring goals for Sporting Lisbon or Marseille or wherever, and we've got Cody Gakpo at Man United. And I would be calm. I'd be like, Ronaldo's happy, we're happy, Ten Hag's happy, everybody's happy. It's what should have happened in August. So I'm in the mindset now where I can't be arsed with all the sensationalist and everything like that. What happened last night was wrong. I'm not going to stay angry about it. Let's find a solution. It's football and it matters, but there's a really easy solution here that just calms it. Give Ten Hag what he wants, give Ronaldo what he wants, and we all move on. I don't think anybody's of the mindset. Why are we even angry about it now? It's happened. Let's solve the problem and move forward. Does anybody really... Why are you angry, by the way, apart from what happened? I'm past angry about it. I'm past frustrated. It was wrong. It was bad. But there's an easy solution here if the Glazers allow it to happen. Does anybody seriously think we're going to force Ronaldo to start playing well under Ten Hag and Ten Hag's going to start playing him? That's never happening now. So give him what he wants, give Ten Hag what he wants, and everybody's happy. Do you think the player's relationship with Eric Ten Hag will be stronger after this, says Rory? I think it's a great question, Rory, and I don't know whether the relationship will be stronger. In management, you've sometimes got to be an arsehole. You're not there to be friends with people. And I think basically respect for Ten Hag will be bigger. Because most importantly, no player in that dressing room will think that they're beyond being dropped or suspended or punished. So it will discipline the squad. And that squad needs discipline. God, it needs discipline. So I think the benefits will be positive on the squad. I don't think relationships with Ten Hag are going to suddenly be, friendship relationships. I think it's respect. Soham says that Ronaldo did mess up. Just hope we United fans don't forget what he's done for us in the shirt. He's still a legend. Well, I won't forget Soham. I'm confused. Ronaldo is so professional on the pitch and with his training up, but off the pitch, do that. I'm 50 and the memories will still be of your young Ronaldo, says Joseph. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, says Can. Yeah, and that takes us back to the start, really. I mean, when you look at it, Ronaldo was always going to end up being the villain, wasn't he? If he'd gone to Man City, he was the villain. And coming to United, he still ended up being the villain. Should never have come back to the Prem. And really believe we will sign a single player in January. Come on, Mark. You know we won't. We're not on a rebuild, not according to the club, says Paolo. And I'm sorry for all the super chats today, says Barney, but no one else will listen to me. But do you think we could get Gakpo or Tony for 100 million all in? No. Sorry, Barney. No. And you know what? I think the previous chat was good as well. This Ronaldo story helps the Glazers because it deflects. It deflects attention. And really, if Ronaldo goes and we don't replace him, everybody's eyes go back on the Glazers. That could happen. The eyes should be on the Glazers anyway. But look, it's been a very odd day. It's been a very tiring day. My favourite bit of content was the Chelsea preview, so please do check it out. But you know what? I think we need to get this sorted quick. Ronaldo needs to go. The replacement needs to be lined up. And the rebuild needs to continue. Yeah, as quick as possible. What I don't want to see is some sort of rehabilitation and friends reunited bullshit. Like, we all know who Ronaldo is and we all know who Ten Hag is. They've got their personalities. They ain't never hugging and pretending nothing's happened. So the club cannot try that. They can't. It's disrespectful to the fans because we're not stupid. Ronaldo wants to go. Ten Hag wants him to go. Get it done. And we can all move on. That's what I want to see now. This will put the players in the place, says Aslan. Yeah, it will do. Tomorrow's another day. I don't want to be waking up to different angles of of Ronaldo walking down the tunnel. We know what happened. Let's move on. Let's find a solution. But, of course, there is a press conference tomorrow lunchtime and Ten Hag's going to get asked questions about it. So, there we go. Roll on Saturday when we've actually got a football match to talk about. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I know it's challenging when emotions are running high, but I think in the main, everybody is on the same channel, same place here. Is Speed wanting to call me, actually? Because if he does want to call me, I'm happy to get him on. I will pop on my Discord. I don't know... see if he's about. He's live. I don't know. I'll pop onto Discord and we'll see what happens. I've completely forgotten about this. Okay. He's on Do Not Disturb. So, there ain't nothing I can do about... There ain't nothing I can do about that. He's been calling you for ages. Well, he's not calling me now. It might be worth waiting for. We'll see. How do I ring him? I don't. I'm so bad on. I'm so bad on this. I wanna sex you up. He's live on YouTube. Okay. We'll sort it out. We'll do one in the future. Definitely. If I could ring him, it would be helpful, but I'm so bad. He's got Do Not Disturb on. That's why. No worries. Okay, we'll try it again in the future. It would be interesting to see what he's got to say. But the phone logo is... Yeah, it won't click because he's got Do Not Disturb on. I guarantee it would have been completely backing Ronaldo, but there we go. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. We'll be back tomorrow, and maybe we'll get him on tomorrow night or something. Speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Take care.